President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday made it very clear that he's not going to support his deputy William Samoei Ruto for the presidency in 2022. But instead, the president is going to support one of the NASA core principles. He made that very clear. And his deputy also responded ruthlessly by telling the president that yeye anajipanga, which means we can now safely conclude that Uhuru and Ruto have divorced. But there's one question which Kenyans are still asking. What really transpired between these two gentlemen? Because ahead of the last general election, nobody expected them to work together ahead of 2012 general election. But against all odds, the two gentlemen worked together and they delivered the presidency. And they worked very smoothly in the first term. Although Kenyans are learning late that even as early as 2015, these guys had started having some misunderstanding. But what really transpired? And why do you think President Uhuru Kenyatta would just decide one day not to support his deputy, despite the public pronouncement that he was going to support the guy? There must be something which President Uhuru Kenyatta knows, which you and me are not aware of. There must be something. William Ruto must have committed something which pissed off the president. We can't speculate this, but what we know is that President Uhuru Kenyatta fears William Ruto's presidency. So in this video today, I want us to look at some of the possible headache which President Uhuru Kenyatta is having over the possibility of William Ruto's presidency. Because let's face it, the presidency of the Republic of Kenya is going to be determined by several factors. One amongst them is the votes. We never know. Maybe William Ruto might actually upset the president. He might upset Raila Odinga. He might upset all other NASA principles, and IBC will declare him the president. Although that's a tall order. But what are some of the headache which are giving President Uhuru Kenyatta sleepless nights? In my considered opinion, I have several of them. The first one, in my considered opinion, which is giving President Uhuru Kenyatta a lot of headache, is his influence beyond 2022. Having enjoyed power, and the fact that power is always sweet, will President Uhuru Kenyatta still retain some of his influence beyond 2022? So Uhuru Kenyatta, in his own mind and calculation, would want to have someone as the president, and that president will still allow him to have some control, some influence, even when he will retire. He has studied William Samoei Ruto. And let's agree, you two have studied William Ruto. Do you think when Ruto becomes the president of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta will have influence? Do you think so? Personally, I don't think so. There are several things which can justify why Uhuru Kenyatta fears that he might not have influence and therefore is seeking for someone else. Let us look at Jubilee as a political party. Uhuru Kenyatta had the TNA, the National Alliance Party, and William Ruto had the URP party. So they competed against NASA, or CORD that time, and the URP came with members of parliament, TNA came with members of parliament, and then in the second term, in their own wisdom, William Ruto's wisdom, which in my view was good and was bad at the same time, they decided to merge these political parties. And that's where the problem began. After merging these political parties, then William Ruto ended up influencing those who were elected even in President Uhuru Kenyatta's stronghold. So that as at today, President Uhuru Kenyatta doesn't really have members of parliament, strong members of parliament, senators, even governors from his own backyard, because the deputy president influenced that. When he becomes the president, What do you think he want to do? Then go to central Kenya. The kind of politics down there. William Ruto is competing with the President Uhuru Kenyatta. Today he has made the people there believe that he's a saint and Uhuru Kenyatta is a devil. Who would allow that to happen? Nobody is going to allow that to happen. So because of those, it's not going to be possible for the president to allow someone to become the president, a guy he knows so well, that will not allow him to have influence beyond 2022. In fact, one of the biggest problems Raila Odinga has always faced in his bid for the presidency is the same fear of influence. Raila Odinga has always approached general elections as an outsider. In 2002, 2007, even 2013, things only started changing when he entered into the coalition government with Kibaki, where some people started feeling that this guy might not be very bad. And then after now, the handshake. So that's the first fear, giving President Uhuru Kenyatta headache, influence beyond 2022. The second fear and headache, which I'm sure is really dealing with, is the fear of revenge. William Ruto is considered to be one of the most vengeful leaders in this country. So Uhuru Kenyatta is asking himself, how will William Ruto treat me if he becomes the president of the Republic of Kenya? Remember, Uhuru is the president today, Ruto is his deputy. So probably there are certain things they've done together, and Uhuru is asking himself, really, how will he treat me if he's doing this? I just want to take you to how the DP has always treated Raila Odinga. For example, calling him all sorts of names. Some of those names, even Uhuru Kenyatta, at their peak when he was contesting against Raila Odinga, never uttered. But he's been doing that. Will he mistreat Uhuru Kenyatta because Uhuru Kenyatta and his team have actually mistreated him? Will he revenge? Let's face it, William Ruto has been subjected to a lot of mistreatment, humiliation, and embarrassment. So there must be a fear that we have really embarrassed this guy. We have really mistreated him. If he becomes the president, how is he going to treat us? So that's giving them a lot of problems and a lot of worries. So the president must try and figure out who amongst these presidential candidates might not really revenge. Ruto being a vengeful leader can be demonstrated using several people. Ruto was part of the youth for KANU. He was invited there by Jirongo. The same Jirongo and William Ruto today are not seeing eye to eye. Forget about politics. You know, there's this issue of politics where they can exchange, but now even in real life. So the thinking is, if Jirongo introduced Ruto to youth for KANU and Ruto became the deputy president, and Ruto is still mistreating him, Uhuru Kenyatta is asking himself, who about me? What about me? A person who just found this guy when he was already somebody. Then you can also demonstrate it using Moi. Without Moi, I'm not sure whether Ruto would be the vice president or would be the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya today. He would definitely be somewhere preaching or in some lab focusing on his botany. By the time Moi was dying, he could not even allow Ruto near him. What really transpired between them? And then you can also look at the people who were close to Moi at that time. Zakayo Cheruiyot, who was very close with Ruto again, Isaac Ruto, frankly, but most of those people, their relationship with Ruto, some of them have actually been run over by the DP. So Uhuru Kenyatta is fearing how the DP will actually treat him should he become the next president. The third thing, which is the main issue, is business interests. Let us face it, William Ruto worked with Jirongo when they introduced that Jirongo 500 note. So he understands the power of money in politics. In the last election, between 2013 and 2017, William Ruto knew so well what he wanted. He knew so well that in 2022, he was going to run for the presidency. And he knew so well that for him to succeed, he needed money. And how do you make money? You can only make money in government. And how do you make money in government? Tenders. And those tenders, most of them are irregular, and most of them are even fake. So Ruto formed the government with Uhuru Kenyatta. He identified key ministries. And some of these key ministries are very lucrative, and there are cartels controlling them. One of them is the energy sector. So when Ruto and Uhuru took over control of government, Ruto took energy. After taking energy, they started controlling that energy sector. That time they stepped on the toes of so many people. They locked out most of the people who were previously doing business in that ministry, including, according to the stories of the street, the Kenyatta family. So their fear is that if this guy can do this and is not a president, what will he not do when he becomes the president? The Kenyatta family are in business. Uhuru is the president of the Republic of Kenya. He knows what the DP has done. When they took over government, William Ruto took over insurance of all parastatals in the country. His Amaco company was doing all the insurance for all government institutions in this country. Who does that? And Uhuru was watching. He could not speak. When they introduced the NTSA vehicles, it is alleged that the deputy president also went and leased all the vehicles there. Until now, these guys started frustrating him. By the time they were realizing, it was late. So their fear is that if this guy becomes the president, who will control all businesses? Will he control all businesses? The fourth fear and headache, why, and this is why I think I've explained it before, why Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to support Raila Odinga, is Kenyatta family future ambitions. President Uhuru Kenyatta is not the last member of the Kenyatta family to become the president or to want to become the president. There are even some who are not yet born. And if you study politics, there is this issue of dynasty. The Odinga family, the Moi family, Ruto is already creating his own dynasty there. The Kenyatta are creating theirs. There are even some who are not in business. Some are in sports. Some are in business, some are in sports, various fields. So there's always that dynasty. Ruto is studying, Uhuru is studying Ruto. And from his calculation, he's figuring out that this guy is trying to create new leaders from central. That's the fact. And Uhuru would have wanted a situation where he controls his succession politics. Then after controlling his succession politics, then things will play in their rightful place. Uhuru Kenyatta's son would want one day to become the president. Ruto should have carried the hand of this boy. Or he should have grabbed the hand of this boy and walked with him slowly at the background without Kenyans realizing. There is no way Uhuru Kenyatta would have stopped Ruto. Instead, Ruto is going for Ndindi Nyoro, Ruto is going for Moses Kuria, Ruto is going for other people who are basically not going to succeed as the next presidents of the Republic of Kenya. Number 4, and this someone told me, is also the biggest fear of Uhuru if Ruto becomes the president. How he's going to run the country, especially on the war on corruption. That's the biggest fear he has. Ruto And these ministries he controls have been bogged down with corruption allegations. And we know that even in this country, majority of people with questionable characters always find solace in William Ruto's office. That office, if you look at scandals if you just type scandals in William Ruto's office, you will be shocked. There are scandals in this country, in each and every ministry. But William Ruto office, the kind of scandals happening in those offices is worrying the president. And lastly, it's the central Kenya politics. Ruto wants Uhuru Kenyatta to go home, and to go home completely. He doesn't want to leave Uhuru Kenyatta with the control of the larger Mount Kenya region. Who would allow that to happen? Anybody, even Raila Odinga, you can take everything from him. But there's no way Raila Odinga would want you to take control of Kisumu County and Siaya County. Uhuru Kenyatta would allow you to take everything, including the presidency. But you not want a situation where he doesn't control. Uhuru would not want a situation where he doesn't control central Kenya, specifically the Kikuyu, to an extent that we are going to go for the next general election, but the president cannot dictate who becomes the next member of parliament for Gatundu South, the next governor for Kiambu, because William Ruto wants to become the president and is making him a lame duck president. That's a big problem which Uhuru Kenyatta is actually dealing with. I don't know what you think. Let us wait and see how things are going to unfold. And who do you think President Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to support between Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, and Raila Odinga? I'm ruling out Gideon Moi because Gideon Moi was not part of NASA. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.